with Sam Cabo, a lawyer, and would love to have his take on the issue at hand that we're actually discussing about the sack of the Ebonyi State governor and his deputy. Can we have your interpretation? Good morning once again.
Yes, good morning. I hope you can hear me now. Let me start by saying that I have not read the judgment, and I would therefore have to be very careful with the conclusion that I would make. The issues here are a little bit intricate. I have seen people trying to make some extrapolations from decisions that were made from litigations that arise from elections or issues that are covered by electoral act. This one is not an issue that is covered by the electoral act, but by the constitution. And that is to say, whether or not a governor loses his office by virtue of the fact that he leaves the party through which he was elected to another party. Offhandedly, you would say no, because the constitution is very clear. Whereas the constitution makes a provision for such a consequence for a legislature, it did not make that for the governor. And the constitution is very specific on when and how a governor who has taken oath and has started his tenure can be removed. The issue of votes are only material at the time of election because the constitution gives the party the agency to recruit candidates for elections. And therefore, those decisions that say the votes that are gotten by a candidate belong to the party, those decisions are right because in any case, it is the party that the constitution gave or gives the duty or the responsibility to recruit the candidates. But the moment the candidate is successful and he takes the oath of office, he becomes the property of the state and not the party. And therefore, his fate can no longer be related to the party because the party has done its job in presenting him as a candidate for the election. So when you have a judgment that says that because the governor has decamped to another party and therefore he loses his seat, I have my worry about that. But thankfully, irrespective of my cautionary opinion, the three-tier system of our own adversary system gives the governor the opportunity to appeal. And once he appeals within the time stipulated, the judgment is stayed. And he would be in office until the Supreme Court says otherwise. So for now, I do not think he needs to be worried. And I would also want to advise that whoever you are, whatever office you hold, if a judgment is made against you, the only option you have is to appeal and not to disparage the judge because the judge has the right to be wrong and he could be right. because the law would not be expanded if judges are not adventurous. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that this case would be attended to in an accelerated matter so that it would go to the Supreme Court as quickly as possible so that we would have a final decision on this. And thankfully, if for anything, it is even good that this decision is, this particular case is coming on the eve of the next general elections. I do not think that is talking morally here now. I do not think it is right. I do not think it is fair for a governor to gift the mandate of the people to a party that the people have rejected at the polls. But like I said, my opinion or my moral view does not matter. What matters is what the Constitution says. The Constitution has said that this is how a governor who has been elected into office and who has taken the oath of office can be removed. You cannot take his faith back to the elections. The election was a process that was governed by a different law. The moment he scales through that recruitment process through the elections, he becomes the governor of the people of the state and an instrument or organ of the state. A governor is not an organ of a political party. It's not an office of a political party. It is an office of the state. And the state, in its own wisdom, through the Constitution, has said that this is how you could be removed. Otherwise, you spend through your 4-year tenure.
The governor actually is saying that he's going to hire 18 senior advocates, of Nigeria to take back his mandate. Does he stand a chance in any form?
Well, if he has the money, it is good for the profession. But it is not the quantity or number of lawyers that you hire that matter. For my own personal experience, too many cooks, they say they spoil the broth. The issues are very narrow, very straightforward. I do not see why you need to employ that many lawyers. But as a lawyer, I think I should be happy because people are being employed. And on the question as to whether or not he has a chance, I wish him good luck. And if for anything, the law will be richer. Because like I have said, from my own personal reading of the law, I do not think he could be removed on the basis of him decamping to APC. It is wrong morally. It is unfair on the people of Ebonyi State. But the law is the law. The Constitution is wiser. If the legislatures want to prevent that tomorrow, they can make an amendment and make the same provisions that they have made with respect to the legislators. But for now, I do not think the Constitution contemplates the consequence that the judgment have meted on the governor.
if this particular judgment is eventually upheld in the appellate court, who would be affected, considering that there are many other governors who have actually, left the parties that actually brought them into power?
Of course, you can name them. You have Ayade of Cross River. You have the Wale of Sampara. Yes, so definitely those ones, I guess, they will be highly pleasant too. But let me make the point again. Like I have said, most of the reactions out there by lawyers and some other analysts, the thinking and the reasoning is based on the Electoral Act. And the Electoral Act is about election and not about the tenure of the government. Like I have said, the moment that process is done and a governor is sworn in, he becomes a god of his own. We are not practicing a parliamentary system where you have party supremacy. Of course, even in a presidential system like South Africa, the constitution makes it very clear and gives powers to the political party to discipline their own executive officers up to the president. But we do not have that here. The moment they become governors and they are sworn in, the best they can do is to appropriate the party and call themselves the leaders of the party, even though no law says so. So I do not think that the governor or the other governors need to really lose sleep over the judgment. If for anything, uh, uh, the positive we take from it is that they should be careful because anything can happen tomorrow. And like I have always warned, the Supreme Court is not entirely a court of principle. It's also a court of policy, and it can use that power to sanitize the polity, I mean. And for those who make reference to Amiti's case, I believe that judgment was a policy judgment, and I think it was meant to tame the excesses of Obasanjo at that time. But thereafter, the court had been moving away from it, even in terms of the elections. But for the judgment in Kogi State, I would have by now been saying that the Supreme Court has moved away entirely from it. But like I have said, that is for elections. The moment a governor is sworn in, he becomes a god of his own. And if we go back to history, we know that this particular issue is not even entirely new. Atiku left his party as a deputy governor and joined AD because of the problem he was having with his boss, that's Obasanjo. And Obasanjo used this same reasoning and tried to force an impeachment. But he went to court. And the defense raised this issue that because he has moved away from the party that sponsored him into office, he has lost the office. The Supreme Court said no. The moment he's sworn in, he becomes a man of his own, and his umbilical cord is cut away from both the president and the political party. So I do not see why people should keep going back to the issue of the votes. And I'm also a little bit anxious to see the judgment, because the judgment is in two parts. One part affecting the governor and his deputy, and one part affecting the State House of Assembly members. The reasoning concerning the State House of Assembly members is different. Because, like I have said, the Constitution made it very clear that except there is a crisis in your party, a verifiable one at that, if you jump ship or use the ordinary language, you decamp, you lose your office. So those ones should be working. And if I were them,
if you can
they
hear
should
me,
be the ones
can
to
you share
hire.
your thoughts on the court ordering 16 lawmakers who defected with the governor and his deputy, to refund all salaries and monies received from the day they defected to the APC?
I would love that if the Supreme Court finds in favor of this judgment, or upheld this judgment concerning them, and then obviously the money they have been earning unconscionably should be refunded, if for anything to serve as a deterrent to others.
Do you think this actually affects, Governor Umahi, considering that he made his intention? Okay, we seem to have an issue. Okay, how do you think this would actually affect, the governor, considering that he made his intention to run for presidency, known early this year?
Well, he's a politician. He should know that this is a political time, and his opponents will use all tools available to them to make sure that they keep him busy. If for anything, I think for now, he would spend his energy on maintaining his office. Yeah, but if he's bold, he can ignore this one and leave the lawyers to do the job for him, and go ahead with his campaign. I wish him luck.
End this discussion here. Thank you so much, Sam Cabo, for joining us on Daybreak today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.